Hi everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we're diving into a Form 8K filing from Amphenol Corporation. It's like a corporate announcement, but instead of a press release full of sunshine, we get the straight facts filed with the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission. Think of them as the Wall Street police, so this is important. Today we're looking at some stock changes. Amphenol just got the go-ahead to print a lot more stock. We're talking billions. What does that really mean for the company and your investments? Let's decode it. If you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below where you can discuss these filings with other investors and financial enthusiasts. This is a Form 8K which companies use to tell investors about big news, things that could change the company's value. In this case, it's about changes to their corporate structure. This report is dated May 15, 2025. That's the date the event happened. This isn't a quarterly or yearly report, but a snapshot of something that just went down. The company we are looking at is Amphenol Corporation. They make connectors and cables used in electronics. Think of them as the folks who connect the world, literally. This part is legal stuff, basically saying they aren't trying to pull a fast one by using this filing for something else. We can skip that. Here it tells us Amphenol has Class A common stock, trading under the symbol APEX on the New York Stock Exchange. So this is a publicly traded company, meaning anyone can buy shares. Now we get to the good stuff. The main event is something the company called the Charter Amendment, which they approved in May. It's basically changing the rules of their company a little bit. This is the big news. Amphenol is increasing the number of shares of stock they're allowed to issue. They're going from being allowed to create 2 billion shares to 5 billion shares. That's a massive increase. Why would they do that? Well, issuing more shares can give a company cash, but it can also dilute or lower the value of existing shares. This confirms that the change is official and it happened in May of 2025 to scroll. Submission of matters packed to a vote of security holders. Scroll next up. Some housekeeping from their annual meeting, things that shareholders got to vote on. Here we see how many shares were out there and able to vote. Over 1.2 billion shares were eligible, and a good portion of those, over 1.1 billion, participated. The shareholders also voted to approve Deloitte and Touche as their independent accountants. This is pretty standard and is really just making sure the company is operating above board. There was also a vote on executive compensation. This is a non-binding vote, meaning the company doesn't have to listen, but it's a good temperature check on how shareholders feel about how much the top folks are getting paid. Here it shows the vote on increasing those shares. A large majority voted for it. And finally, a shareholder proposal about improving shareholder meetings didn't pass. So shareholders didn't agree with this idea. This is just the legal stuff pointing to the actual document where the changes are written down. It's a tool that Amphenol can use to raise money. They can issue these new shares and sell them to investors, bringing in a pile of cash. They might want that cash for an acquisition, buying another company, or to invest in new products or technologies. But here's the catch. When you increase the number of shares, each share represents a smaller piece of the pie. That can lower the value of existing shares, something called dilution. So your stock might not be worth as much after they issue all these new shares. Now the shareholders voted to approve it. That means they trust management to use those shares wisely, but it's something to keep an eye on. Did the shareholders drink the Kool-Aid a little too much? So what are Amphenol's strengths and weaknesses based on this filing? Well, the strength is that they have flexibility. They now have access to a lot more capital if they need it. The weakness is that they could dilute the value of existing shares if they don't use this power responsibly. A notable risk is always the risk of overpaying for an acquisition or making a bad investment with that money. The opportunity is that they could make a smart move and grow the company significantly. Overall, this filing tells us that Amphenol is gearing up for something. They're giving themselves the option to make a big move. Whether that move is smart or not is something we'll have to wait and see. Alright, that's our breakdown of Amphenol's latest filing. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.